Star Wars Outlaws is one of the most controversial games of the year, and I think the release is going to be absolutely hilarious given all of the gameplay we've recently seen. But now the creative director has rejected criticisms of Vess's looks, saying it makes no sense to me and it's not worth engaging with. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, there are always so many people that are part of these development teams who have meltdowns over the fact that we are allowed to criticize the products they're creating. And I say this all the time. Yes, on one hand, you have to have developers who are passionate about what they're doing and they have to like what they're creating. But on the flip side, they're not creating these games and these products for themselves. So they also have to keep in mind what customers want. And that is a major issue in the gaming industry right now. There are so many companies filled with activists who don't care about what we have to say. And we're seeing that happen yet again. This is a That Park Place article. It says Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Garrity addressed criticisms of the game's main character, Vess, and specifically criticisms of her looks. Vess and Star Wars Outlaws have been repeatedly criticized for making characters ugly. I was so honestly upset to see this because I want beautiful women in my video games, and it's fine if a character isn't, a bombshell, a blowout, right? Because not every character is going to be like that, but I'm someone like many people who appreciates feminine beauty, and I think it's amazing to see in entertainment. And unfortunately, we are kind of lacking that in this year of 2024, but they picked an absolutely gorgeous woman to model Vess after, and they completely butchered her. They changed her jawline, the hairstyle doesn't work, they just didn't put her face on screen. I mean, look at this comparison image right here. That looks nothing like the actual woman that, again, she's modeled after. And it's honestly so disappointing, at least in my opinion, because if we look at the other Star Wars games like Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, Cameron Monaghan was basically slapped into the game. It's like he was copy and pasted. It looked amazing. But when we have this Star Wars game, this character looks god-awful. Yes, I understand it's different developers, different companies, different teams, but again, we're talking about games that are coming out relatively close to each other. It's not like this was a game released a decade ago. It should look really good, and they should be able to put a face into a game with little to no problems. But now, because we've simply criticized the models in this game and the way that characters look, we are being attacked now. So, of course, he responded to these criticisms, telling the Washington Post Kay is meant to be approachable, a petty thief who ends up barreling through this story, making bad decisions, and centered with a lot of humor, humility, and toughness. That's what's important to me. And she's beautiful. Come on. Now, yeah, obviously, a character's personality and their actions are extremely important to the story and the progression. But on the flip side, we just simply want a character who's beautiful or who looks even close and similar to the woman she was modeled after. These do not look similar at all whatsoever. The elongated, weird chin, like her eyes are completely different. And I do think this hairstyle is a massive, massive issue. It looks terrible. I don't know who decided on that hairstyle, but I get they're trying to go for like a very 70s to 80s feeling. It does not work here. It did not translate well. He said it makes no sense to me and it's not worth engaging with. Just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean it's not valid. It's okay to not constantly understand or agree with people and their opinions, but you have to try to take that into consideration. Now, of course, this was a major problem for people, is the way that Vess looked. But at this point, after seeing all of the gameplay and teasers and trailers, we have a lot more to worry about than just her looks. And again, he's talking about how if you engage with bad faith people, there's no nuance and possibility of real dialogue. There has never been real dialogue because these developers and these straight up activists don't want there to be dialogue. They constantly call us sexist, racist, homophobic, any istanphobe that they can think of at the time. They'll call us that. And that is the issue with these people. They are the ones who don't want to have a good faith discussion. They are the ones who don't want to listen to our feedback. And when this game doesn't sell and it's a failure, they're going to know why. Because they didn't listen to us. And we don't want games to keep releasing and being awful, but they just ignore us. It says, though, he previously had described Vess as a much more modern protagonist. Whenever we hear about a game being modern, whether it's the characters, the storyline, or the overall picture they're trying to paint, there's always a problem like this. It's either the cringeworthy, I'm a strong woman who doesn't need a man dialogue, or it's I am fugly and nobody wants to look at me. I mean, I am a woman and I love to see beautiful women in video games. It shouldn't mean that we're called sexist or misogynists simply for wanting beauty within our entertainment. And now that we're less than a month away from release, things are really heating up for them, and it's not looking like this is going to have a good outcome for Ubisoft because we have seen so many snippets of gameplay, so many journalists doing their best to simp for this game, doing their best to defend Ubisoft and this title, saying, oh, it's got so much potential and it's really good, and they're showing us buggy and broken content. This title should have been delayed. It should not be releasing yet. From what we've seen, it needed another 6 months minimum to cook, maybe even a year of development time extra, but of course they're not going to do that. They're barreling forward with the release and they're going to launch it. So I don't think that this is going to go over very well for them. Again, when you have games like Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order, you have to raise the bar for yourselves. And this does not look like that level of quality at all whatsoever. And it's hilarious to see Ubisoft's downfall because right now they're in the middle of multiple controversies with Star Wars Outlaws, but also Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I think they're going to lose quite a bit of money on both of these games. So it will be interesting to see what happens going forward if anyone else on this development team decides to come out and attack gamers. But now they're rejecting criticisms of Vess's looks because, of course, we're not allowed to have our opinions, saying it makes no sense and it's not worth engaging with. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.